Very good. Thanks very much for being here this morning. Last year, when the Commonwealth Games authorities approached us and needed someone to step in to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games, as a state, we were happy to help out, but of course not at any price, and only if there was lasting benefit for Victorian communities and benefit for the whole state. What's become clear is that the cost of hosting these games in 2026 is not the $2.6 billion which was budgeted and allocated and is sitting, vast majority of which has not been spent. It's not $2.6 billion, it is in fact at least $6 billion and could be as high as $7 billion. And I cannot stand here and say to you that I have any confidence that that even $7 billion number would appropriately and adequately fund these games. I think it could be more than that. Now, there's a whole range of reasons for that. And today's not about finding fault with those cost estimates. They are what our market soundings, our consultations with industry, all of our pre-tender work tells us. $6 to $7 billion is well and truly too much for a 12-day sporting event. I will not take money out of hospitals and schools in order to fund an event that is 3 times the cost as estimated and budgeted for last year. In terms of where we go to from here, the Games will not proceed in Victoria in 2026. We have informed Commonwealth Games authorities of our decision to seek to terminate the contract and to not host the Games. Meetings occurred, amicable and productive meetings occurred in London last night, and they will again continue London time later on today. However, as I said, $2.6 billion was budgeted, and that covered both legacy benefits, so ongoing important sporting upgrades and other physical infrastructure and other elements, housing and other things of that nature across a number of regional hubs and more broadly some other regional communities. I want to come to that in just a moment. Not all of that $2.6 billion was of course for legacy. It was for security and transport and all manner of other services, if you like, all other elements of putting on such a big event. What we are going to do, instead of proceeding with games that would cost $6 to $7 billion, we will not have the games, and we will instead, today we're announcing a regional package of over $2 billion, and there are a number of features to that. First and foremost, each and every one of the permanent sporting facilities that were to be legacy benefits from the Games will be built, and the Deputy Premier will speak to that in just a moment. There is a very substantial regional tourism fund. There will be a substantial package of support for community-based sport, and perhaps most importantly, there will be a $1 billion boost for social and affordable housing right across regional Victoria, not just in those hub cities, but there will be at least 1,300 new homes constructed across regional Victoria. This represents a massive boost and a direct response to what is perhaps the biggest challenge across regional Victoria and indeed across our state, and that is the supply of housing and the number of housing options that Victorians have before them. That is in many respects the biggest and best lasting legacy that we can leave, somewhere to live and a market that has more supply for those who need it. So in essence, when you add up all of, not the estimates, but the actuals, all the contemporary work that's been done with builders, with those who provide services, all of those who would contribute to running the Commonwealth Games in 2026, the cost is not $2.6 billion as estimated by senior departmental officials, external consultants, the government as well as Commonwealth Games authorities. It is in fact at least $6 billion and could be as much as $7 billion. And look, I've made a lot of difficult calls, a lot of very difficult decisions in this job. This is not one of them. frankly, $6 to $7 billion for a 12-day sporting event, we are not doing that. That does not represent value for money. That is all cost and no benefit. We will instead deliver all and more of the legacy benefits in housing, in sporting infrastructure, in tourism. We'll unpack all that tomorrow and throughout the week. There'll be further details of all of that, as well as the process to deliver that. That is a much better way to go forward. We're simply not going to invest that sort of money and have to take it from key service delivery from other parts of government in order to deliver a 12-day sporting event. As I said, discussions have been productive and cordial with Commonwealth Games authorities. They will continue. What I'm not going to do today is essentially negotiate with those Commonwealth Games authorities from the other side of the world via the media. There'll be a full accounting for the costs that have been incurred to this point. There'll be a full accounting of the value that we get from some of those costs in terms of the delivery of that legacy package that I've just spoken to, and which Jacinta and Harriet will speak in more detail in just a moment. And there'll be a full accounting of the costs of the break of this contract. That's not settled. It's simply not finished yet. And it would be, I think, bad faith and, frankly, against the interests of taxpayers and all Victorians if I was to try and conduct that negotiation from the other side of the world at a press conference. That's not the way these things are done. When that's concluded, of course, we'll bring that to book and we will account for that and give you all the details that you want. So, this is not a difficult decision in many respects because it's just quite obvious. We are not going to spend $6 to $7 billion running a 12-day sporting event. Instead, we'll deliver the housing, the sporting infrastructure, the tourism, and the major events support, permanent infrastructure, as well as programs that will see more and more people visit our regions, creating jobs and opportunities for the future. We'll do that instead from the original allocated and funded budget, as opposed to spending close to triple that budget for a 12-day event. Now, I might ask the Deputy Premier now to speak to the sporting infrastructure that will be delivered, and then Harriet will speak about legacy in a broader context. Just before I do that, though, this package of $2 billion is not just all of the permanent, enduring legacy benefits that would have been a feature of the Commonwealth Games. It is beyond that, the housing outcome, not just where the houses will be, but the total number of units is substantially more than we think would have been the case once you built the villages, knocked them down, built temporary facilities, knocked them down, and then had the predominance of that new housing in those 4 hubs. This will mean across the board bigger benefit, lasting benefit for a bigger number of people, more regional communities right across the state, rather than the logical concentration of that legacy benefit in just those 4 hub areas.